The Millionaire changes black boy's life after surprising request from Beggar. Arthur Finch, the Ice King of Wall Street, lived in a world of steel and glass, a world where emotions were as valuable as yesterday's stock quotes, worthless. His days were a blur of billion-dollar deals and hostile takeovers. His nights spent staring at the Manhattan skyline from his penthouse, a glass of scotch his only companion. He had it all, yet he had nothing. Ever since Sarah, but he didn't let himself think about Sarah. Then, one crisp October afternoon, fleeing another soul-crushing board meeting, he found himself in Central Park, seeking a moment of, what? Peace? He didn't know anymore. He just needed to breathe. That's when he saw him. A small, skinny kid, maybe 8 years old, huddled near the Bethesda fountain, looking lost. Arthur usually ignored the panhandlers, the tourists, everyone. But something about this kid, the way he clutched a crumpled piece of paper, stopped him. The kid looked up, his eyes wide and hopeful. "Excuse me, mister?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. Can you teach me how to fish?" Arthur almost laughed. Teach him? Arthur Finch, master of the universe, to teach some kid how to fish? "Get lost, kid," he muttered, already turning away. "Please," the kid pleaded, grabbing Arthur's sleeve. "My mom, she's sick, real sick, and I heard fresh fish helps, but I don't know how." Arthur froze. Sick? The word echoed in his mind, a ghost from a past he tried so hard to bury. Sarah, her pale face, the endless hospital visits. He looked at the kid again, really looked. His name was Mikey, he learned, and his mom, Helen, was fighting something bad. Mikey believed, with the unwavering faith of a child, that fresh-caught fish could make her better. Something snapped in Arthur. A long, dormant ember flickered. A promise. He'd made a promise to Sarah. A promise he hadn't kept. "All right, kid," Arthur said, his voice raspy. "I'll teach you how to fish." That decision took them to a forgotten corner of Long Island, a place of rusted piers and broken dreams, a world away from Arthur's glittering towers. As Arthur showed Mikey how to bait a hook, how to cast the line, he felt something shifting inside him. The weight on his chest, the constant ache of loss, it eased, just a little. He even imagined teaching other kids in Mikey's neighborhood. A little fishing club, but chance to make amends. But then, the phone rang. A name flashed across the screen. A name Arthur hadn't seen in years. A name that brought a cold sweat to his brow. A name connected to a secret that could destroy everything. Arthur answered, his voice trembling. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was cold, menacing. "Arthur, my old friend, long time no see. I think it's time we had a little chat about the past and about what you owe me." Mikey looked up, his eyes filled with innocent hope. Arthur stared back, his heart pounding. Was this fragile hope about to be shattered? Was the past about to catch up with him, dragging them all down with it? He felt like he was drowning. What was he going to do? Antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você tá aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários, de qual cidade você tá assistindo? Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. Arthur answered, his voice trembling. Hello? The voice on the other end was cold, menacing. Arthur, my old friend, long time no see. I think it's time we had a little chat about the past and about what you owe me. Mikey looked up, his eyes filled with innocent hope. Arthur stared back, his heart pounding. Was this fragile hope about to be shattered? Was the past about to catch up with him, dragging them all down with it? He felt like he was drowning. What was he going to do? I don't know what you're talking about, Tony, Arthur stammered, his hand tightening around the phone. Oh, I think you do, Artie. Remember Atlantic City? Remember the favor you did for me? Let's just say, it's time to pay up. And I have a little job for you, a very little job. There was a pause, a sickening chuckle. See that kid you're with? Yeah, the little fisherman. He's got something I want, something his mama's been hiding. Arthur's blood ran cold. Mikey involved in this? Impossible. He looked at the kid again, his innocent face, the trust in his eyes. He couldn't. He wouldn't. You're insane, Tony. Leave him out of this. Ho, I'm afraid it's a little late for that, Artie. Get me what I want by tomorrow night, or, well, let's just say Helen won't be getting any fresh fish. The line went dead. Arthur stood there, frozen, the phone slipping from his grasp. The world seemed to tilt, the sky a bruised purple. He looked at Mikey, who was now struggling with his fishing line. His brow furrowed in concentration. Hey, Mr. Finch, Mikey called out, his voice clear and bright. I think I got one. Arthur forced a smile, his face a mask of terror. That's great, Mikey, just great. He had to get Mikey away from here, away from Tony. But what did Tony want? What was Helen hiding? Mikey, he said, his voice shaking slightly. Let's head back. It's getting late. As they walked back toward the car, Arthur's mind raced. He needed to protect Mikey, protect Helen. But how could he fight a ghost from his past, a man who clearly had no conscience? He glanced at Mikey, skipping happily beside him, chattering about the fish he was going to catch. Suddenly, a black SUV screeched to a halt beside them. Two men in dark suits jumped out, their faces grim. Arthur Finch, one of them barked. We need you to come with us. Mikey gasped, grabbing Arthur's leg. Mr. Finch! Arthur pushed Mikey behind him, his heart pounding. Who are you? What do you want? We're with Child Protective Services, the man said, flashing a badge. We received a report. Allegations of neglect. We need to take the boy into custody. Neglect! Arthur stared at them, stunned. This wasn't about Tony. This was something else. Something bigger. Helen? What had she done? No! Arthur shouted. This is a mistake! I'm with him. I'm taking care of him. The man stepped forward, his eyes cold. I'm afraid we have our orders. We're taking the boy. Mikey started to cry, clinging to Arthur, his small body trembling. Don't let them take me, Mr. Finch. Please. Arthur looked into Mikey's terrified eyes, and a cold realization washed over him. This wasn't about fishing. This wasn't just about Tony. This was about something far more sinister, a web of lies and deceit that had ensnared them all, and he had no idea how to get them out. As the men pried Mikey away, his screams echoing in the air, Arthur saw something glinting in Mikey's hand, a small, tarnished silver locket. The same locket Sarah used to wear, and that's when it hit him. Helen wasn't just some sick single mom. Helen was Sarah's sister. The men shoved Mikey into the SUV. The doors slammed shut, and the vehicle sped away, leaving Arthur standing alone on the deserted road, the weight of the world crashing down on him. He wasn't just trying to save a kid. He was trying to save Sarah's family. And he was running out of time. What had he gotten himself into? He wasn't just trying to save a kid. He was trying to save Sarah's family. And he was running out of time. What had he gotten himself into? Arthur stood there, legs like lead. Sarah's sister? Helen? It all clicked into place. The locket, the eyes, everything. He had to get to Helen. He jumped into his car, tires screeching as he peeled out. He dialed Tony's number, his hands shaking so bad he almost dropped the phone. "Tony, you're playing a dangerous game. Leave Helen alone. What do you want?" Tony's voice was a low growl. "You know what I want, Artie. The locket. It's not just some trinket. It's got something inside, something valuable. And your little friend Mikey's mama's been keeping it safe for years." "What's inside, Tony? Tell me!" Arthur screamed into the phone. "Let's just say it's a get-out-of-jail-free card for a lot of people. People who don't want to be remembered." Tony chuckled. "Get it to me tonight, or Helen and her kid, well, let's just say they'll disappear, like Sarah did." The air left Arthur's lungs. Disappear? Like Sarah? What did he mean? He slammed on the brakes, the car lurching to a stop on the side of the road. He closed his eyes, trying to control the panic rising in his chest. Sarah hadn't just died. She'd disappeared. He dialed a different number, an old contact from his Wall Street days, a guy who knew how to find people, to dig up dirt. "Frankie, I need a favor, a big one. I need you to find out everything you can about Sarah Finch's death, or disappearance. Anything the cops have, anything at all. And I need it now." He hung up, his mind racing. He had to find Helen, had to protect Mikey, but he also had to find out what really happened to Sarah. He floored it, heading towards Helen's apartment. When he got there, the place was a wreck. Furniture overturned, drawers pulled out, clothes scattered everywhere. Helen was gone. A note lay on the kitchen table, scrawled in a shaky hand. "They have Mikey. Meet them at the old pier. Don't call the cops." His heart sank. The old pier. The same pier where he'd taken Mikey. Fishing. It was a trap. As he raced towards the pier, Frankie called back. His voice was grim. "Arthur, I got something. Sarah's case. It wasn't just a car accident. There was foul play. The cops suspected it, but they couldn't prove anything. And get this. Tony was a person of interest. He was seen arguing with her days before she vanished." Arthur's blood ran cold. Tony? Involved in Sarah's disappearance? He pulled up to the pier. The scene bathed in the eerie glow of the streetlights. Tony was there, standing by the edge of the water, Mikey held tightly in his arms. Helen was on the ground, her face bruised and bloody. "Well, well, well," Tony sneered. "Look who finally decided to show up. You brought the locket, Artie." Arthur took a step forward, his fists clenched. "Let them go, Tony. This is between you and me." Oh, it's always been between you and me, Artie. Ever since you double-crossed me back in Atlantic City. And now you're going to pay the price. Suddenly, Helen struggled to her feet, her eyes blazing with fury. He didn't double-cross you, Tony. I did. I took the evidence that would have put you away for good. Tony laughed, a cold, chilling sound. You stupid little. You really thought you could hide it from me forever? That locket wasn't just holding some pretty pictures. It was holding my fate. Then he did something Arthur would never have expected. He pushed Mikey towards Arthur. Here, Artie, take the kid. He's got nothing to do with this. But the locket stays with me. Arthur reached for Mikey, pulling him close. Get out of here, Mikey. Run. As Mikey scrambled away, Tony grabbed Helen, dragging her towards the edge of the pier. Time to take a little swim, Helen, he said, his voice dripping with menace. But then Helen did something unexpected. She spat in Tony's face. You'll never get away with this, Tony. Never. And then she jumped. She leaped off the pier and plunged into the dark, icy water below. Tony stared down into the water, his face a mask of shock. Then he turned to Arthur, his eyes filled with rage. You! This is all your fault! He lunged at Arthur, a knife glinting in his hand. As they grappled on the pier, Arthur saw something floating in the water. Something small and silver. The locket. Helen had thrown it away. And then he saw something else. Behind Tony, rising slowly to the surface, was Helen. And she had a gun. A big, shiny gun pointed right at Tony. And she was smiling. Arthur viu Helen subir, a arma firme na mão. Tony ainda estava ali, paralisado, sem entender nada. Ela ia atirar. Ele tinha que fazer alguma coisa, mas antes que ele pudesse se mexer, antes que Helen pudesse apertar o gatilho, uma luz forte invadiu o pier. Azul e vermelha, uma sirene, a polícia, alguém tinha chamado. Mas quem? Tony aproveitou a confusão, empurrou Arthur com força e correu. Sumiu na escuridão. Antes que os policiais pudessem alcançá-lo, Arthur correu até Helen. Ela tremia, a arma ainda na mão. Olhos arregalados, perdidos. Helen, você está bem? Ela não respondeu, só olhava para o nada. Um policial se aproximou, cauteloso. Senhora, abaixe a arma. Lentamente. Helen não reagiu. Arthur tentou tirar a arma dela, mas ela resistiu. Segurava firme, com força de louca. Helen, sou eu, Arthur. Me dá essa arma, por favor. Ela virou o rosto para ele, os olhos cheios de lágrimas. Eles a mataram, Arthur. Mataram a Sarah, e ninguém fez nada. Aquelas palavras atingiram Arthur como um soco. Ele sabia, lá no fundo sempre soube. A morte de Sarah não tinha sido um acidente. E agora, Helen também corria perigo. Mikey, todos eles. Vamos sair daqui, Helen. Deixe que a polícia cuide disso. Não vale a pena. Ela balançou a cabeça frenética. Não, eu preciso fazer justiça. Por Sarah. E então, ela fez uma coisa que ninguém esperava. Helen apontou a arma para Arthur. Você sabia, não é? Você sempre soube o que Tony fez. Você estava lá. Arthur arregalou os olhos. Não! Helen, você está enganada. Mentiroso! Ela gritou, a voz embargada. Você era amigo dele. Vocês estavam juntos naquela noite. Eu vi! O mundo girou. Amigo de Tony? Estar com ele na noite da morte de Sarah? Não podia ser verdade. Mas e se fosse? Lembranças vagas inundaram a mente de Arthur. Uma festa em Atlantic City. Bebida, jogos. Tony, sim, ele estava lá. E Sarah também estava. Não se lembrava de mais nada. Apenas um borrão. Uma névoa densa que escondia a verdade. Eu não me lembro, Helen. Eu juro. Eu nunca faria nada para machucar a Sarah. Calha a boca! Ela gritou, as mãos tremendo. Você a traiu. Todos vocês a traíram. E então, ela apertou o gatilho. Nada. Clique seco. A arma estava sem balas. Helen cambaleou. A expressão em seu rosto puro terror. Alívio também, talvez. Uma mistura estranha. Arthur não conseguia respirar. A polícia se aproximava, as luzes girando, ensurdecedoras. Um deles gritou ordens, mas tudo soava abafado, distante. De repente, uma figura surgiu das sombras, rápido, silencioso como um fantasma. Um homem alto, vestindo um sobretudo escuro. Ele agarrou Helen pelo braço, puxando-a para perto. Você vem comigo, ele rosnou, a voz rouca, familiar. Arthur piscou. Tentou enxergar melhor. Impossível. A sombra engoliu os dois. E então, a coisa mais inacreditável aconteceu. O homem se virou. Apenas por um instante. O suficiente para que Arthur visse seu rosto. A luz da lua bateu ali, revelando cada detalhe, cada cicatriz, cada ruga. Era Arthur. Ele estava olhando para si mesmo. Um Arthur mais velho, mais duro, com um olhar frio que ele nunca vira antes. O outro Arthur sorriu. Um sorriso cruel que arrepiou Arthur até a alma. Então ele sumiu, arrastando Helen com ele para a escuridão. Arthur ficou ali, paralisado. A polícia o cercava, fazendo perguntas que ele não conseguia processar. Nada fazia sentido. Ele estava sonhando? Tinha enlouquecido de vez? Mas não era um sonho. Era real. Tão real quanto a água salgada respingando em seu rosto. Tão real quanto o medo que o consumia por dentro. Ele olhou para Mikey, que o observava de longe, os olhos cheios de confusão e pavor. Ele precisava proteger Mikey. Precisava entender o que estava acontecendo. Mas como? Como lutar contra si mesmo? De repente lembrou-se do locket. Helen tinha jogado fora. Ele precisava encontrá-lo. Talvez ali estivesse a resposta. Arthur se afastou da polícia, correndo de volta para a beira do pier. A água estava escura, gelada. Ele se jogou ali, sem pensar duas vezes. A cada abraçada sentia o corpo entorpecer. A correnteza o puxava para longe, para o fundo. Mas ele não desistia. Precisava encontrar o locket. Precisava saber a verdade. E então, seus dedos tocaram algo. Pequeno, frio, metálico. O locket. Ele o agarrou com força, emergindo na superfície, ofegante. Abriu o locket, as mãos tremendo. Dentro não havia fotos. Apenas um pequeno pedaço de papel dobrado. Ele o desdobrou, lutando contra o vento e a água. Uma única frase estava escrita ali. Uma frase que mudaria tudo. Ele não é seu filho. Arthur sentiu o chão sumir sob seus pés. Mikey não era filho de Helen. Então, de quem era? E quem era aquele outro Arthur? Por que ele tinha levado Helen? A cabeça girava. As perguntas se acumulavam. Sem respostas. Ele olhou para Mikey, parado na beira do pier, sozinho, tão pequeno, tão vulnerável. Ele precisava protegê-lo. Mas de quem? De quê? E mais importante, quem era ele, Arthur Finch, afinal? Será que ele sequer se conhecia? Ele apertou o locket na mão, a única pista que tinha, e soube no fundo do coração que sua vida nunca mais seria a mesma. He gripped the locket, the only clue he had, and he knew, deep down, that his life would never be the same. He stumbled out of the water, shivering. Mikey ran to him, wrapping his small arms around Arthur's legs. "Mr. Finch, you okay?" Arthur knelt, hugging Mikey tight. "I'm okay, kid, but things are complicated." He needed to get Mikey somewhere safe. The police were still swarming, confused, asking questions. He couldn't trust them. Not yet. "Come on, Mikey, let's go." They ran, hand in hand, away from the pier, away from the flashing lights, away from the chaos. Arthur didn't know where they were going, but he knew they had to get away. He drove, fast, adrenaline pumping. Mikey was silent in the passenger seat, watching Arthur with wide, scared eyes. Finally, he pulled over at a rundown motel on the outskirts of town. It wasn't much, but it was a place to hide. "Stay here, Mikey," Arthur said, his voice tight. "I need to make a call." He dialed Frankie again, his heart pounding. "Frankie, I saw him. I saw another me. He took Helen. You gotta find them." Frankie was silent for a moment. "Another you? What the hell are you talking about, Arthur?" "I don't know. Just find them. And Frankie, find out everything you can about Helen, about her past, about Mikey." He hung up, his head spinning. He looked at Mikey, who was drawing on a piece of paper with a crayon. A picture of a fish. Arthur walked over and knelt beside him. "Mikey, that locket. Did your mom ever talk about it?" Mikey shrugged. "She just said it was important, that I had to keep it safe." "Did she ever say who gave it to her?" Mikey thought for a moment, then his eyes widened. She said it was from my dad." Arthur froze. "Your dad? You know who your dad is?" Mikey shook his head. "No, she just said he was a bad man." A bad man. Tony? Could Tony be Mikey's father? Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Arthur tensed, his hand reaching for his pocket. "Who is it?" he called out. A voice answered, soft, hesitant. "It's me, Helen." Arthur's heart leaped. He threw open the door, and there she was, standing in the hallway, bruised and battered, but alive. "Helen, are you okay? What happened? Where's—" But then he saw her eyes, cold, empty, and he knew. This wasn't Helen. "Looking for me, Artie," she said, her voice a low, mocking growl. It was him, the other Arthur, wearing Helen's clothes, a grotesque imitation. "What the hell do you want?" Arthur snarled, pushing Mikey behind him. The other Arthur smiled, a terrifying, predatory smile. "I want what's mine, Artie, what you stole from me." He lunged, a knife flashing in his hand. Arthur dodged, grabbing Mikey and pulling him out of the way. "Run, Mikey, run!" They scrambled out of the motel room. The other Arthur hot on their heels. Arthur knew he couldn't outrun him. He was faster, stronger, and he knew Arthur's every move. They burst out of the motel and into the parking lot. The other Arthur right behind them. Arthur looked around, desperate. He needed a weapon, anything. Then he saw it. A car, an old beat-up Ford pickup truck. Keys in the ignition. He grabbed Mikey, shoving him into the truck. "Get down!" He jumped in after him, slamming the door. He turned the key. The engine sputtered, then roared to life. He slammed the truck into gear and peeled out of the parking lot, the other Arthur screaming behind them. Arthur glanced in the rear-view mirror. The other Arthur was gaining on them. He was running at impossible speed, his eyes burning with hate. Suddenly, the other Arthur leaped. He launched himself onto the back of the truck, clinging to the tailgate. Arthur swerved, trying to shake him off, but he held on tight. The other Arthur was climbing closer, inching his way towards the cab. Arthur knew he was out of options. He had to stop him. He slammed on the brakes, the truck skidding to a halt. The other Arthur was thrown forward, crashing against the windshield. He was stunned, but still alive. Arthur jumped out of the truck, grabbing a tire iron from the back. He ran towards the other Arthur, his heart pounding. "Stay away from him," Arthur shouted, raising the tire iron. The other Arthur grinned, a twisted, insane grin. "You can't stop me, Artie. I am you. I know what you're going to do before you do it." He lunged again, knife in hand. Arthur swung the tire iron, connecting with the other Arthur's arm. The knife clattered to the ground. The other Arthur staggered back, clutching his arm. Arthur raised the tire iron again, ready to strike. But then he hesitated. He couldn't do it. He couldn't kill himself. The other Arthur saw his hesitation, his grin widening. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small and silver. "The locket. You want this, Artie? Come and get it." He held the locket out, dangling it in front of Arthur's face. Arthur reached for it, but the other Arthur pulled it back. "Not so fast. There's something you need to know first." He leaned closer, his voice a whisper. "Mikey, he's not Helen's son. He's yours." Arthur recoiled, his mind reeling. Mikey? His son? Impossible. "No, that's not true." The other Arthur laughed. "It is, Artie. Sarah was pregnant when she died, and she never told you." Arthur's world shattered. Sarah? Pregnant? With his child? And he never knew? He looked at Mikey, who was watching them from the truck, his eyes wide with fear. His son. He had a son. The other Arthur saw the look on Arthur's face, his grin turning triumphant. "Now do you understand, Artie? He's the only thing that matters. And I'm going to take him away from you." He grabbed Mikey, pulling him out of the truck. Arthur lunged, but it was too late. The other Arthur had Mikey in his arms, a knife pressed against his throat. "One more step, Artie, and he's dead." Arthur froze, his heart pounding. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. He looked at Mikey, his son, his eyes filled with terror. And he knew he had to do something. Anything. "Okay," Arthur said, his voice trembling. "Okay, you win. Just let him go." The other Arthur smiled. "That's what I wanted to hear, Artie." He released Mikey, shoving him towards Arthur. Arthur caught him, holding him tight. "Get out of here." "Mikey, run. Run as fast as you can. Don't look back." Mikey hesitated, then nodded, tears streaming down his face. He turned and ran, disappearing into the darkness. Arthur watched him go, his heart breaking. He had to protect him, even if it meant sacrificing himself. He turned back to the other Arthur, his face a mask of determination. "What do you want from me?" The other Arthur smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "I want your life, Artie. All of it." He raised the knife, his eyes burning with hate. Arthur closed his eyes, waiting for the end. But then, something unexpected happened. A gunshot. The other Arthur staggered back, clutching his chest. A look of surprise, then pain, crossed his face. He crumpled to the ground, the knife falling from his hand. Arthur opened his eyes, staring in disbelief. Standing behind the other Arthur, gun still smoking, was Sarah. Sarah. But it wasn't Sarah. It couldn't be. Sarah was gone. He'd seen her. Well, he didn't really see anything, did he? A car crash. That's what everyone said. This woman, she looked like Sarah. The same eyes, the same smile, even the same little scar above her eyebrow. But something was different, harder, colder, and she was holding a gun. Sarah? Arthur whispered, his voice cracking. The woman, Sarah, lowered the gun, a flicker of something that might have been sadness crossing her face. "Hello, Artie," she said, her voice a low rasp. "Long time no see." He just stared. He couldn't move. He couldn't think. You're alive?" She nodded slowly. "Alive, and a hell of a lot angrier than I used to be." Then her gaze hardened. "Where is he, Arthur?" "Who?" "Tony. Where is that son of a—" Arthur blinked, trying to piece things together. Sarah, alive, looking for Tony. It was too much. He ran. He got away. Sarah cursed. A string of words Arthur never would have imagined coming from her mouth. "Damn it! I was so close!" She turned to Arthur, her eyes searching his. "Did he hurt you? Did he hurt Mikey? We're okay. But, Sarah, what's going on? What happened to you? Why didn't you tell me you were alive?" She sighed, running a hand through her hair. "It's a long story, Artie. One I don't have time to get into right now. Just know that everything you thought you knew, it's all a lie." Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. Sarah's eyes widened. "They're coming. I gotta go." "No, wait! I need answers." She shook her head. "I can't, Artie. Not now. Just take care of Mikey. He's the only thing that matters." She started to run, then stopped, turning back to Arthur. "And Artie, don't trust anyone. Not even yourself." Then she was gone, disappearing into the night. Arthur stood there, frozen, the words echoing in his mind. Don't trust anyone, not even yourself. What did she mean? He looked down at Mikey, who was huddled nearby, watching them with confusion and fear. His son. Sarah's son. Or was he? The locket. He's not your son. His head was spinning. He couldn't trust Sarah. He couldn't trust himself. Who could he trust? He scooped Mikey up in his arms, holding him close. He had to get him away from here. Away from the police. Away from Tony. Away from Sarah. He started to run, not knowing where he was going, but knowing he had to keep moving. He had to protect Mikey. He had to find the truth. And then he heard it. A voice inside his head. A voice that sounded exactly like his own. "You know what to do, Arthur." He stopped, dead in his tracks, clutching Mikey tighter. "Who's there?" he whispered, his voice trembling. "It's me, Artie. The real you, the one you've been trying to forget." He looked around, but there was no one there, just him and Mikey, and the voice in his head. "You have to protect him, Artie. He's the key. He's the only one who can stop them." "Stop who? Stop what?" "Them. The ones who took Sarah. The ones who are controlling everything. You know who they are, Artie. Deep down, you've always known. Arthur squeezed his eyes shut, trying to block out the voice, but it was no use. It was inside him, part of him. You can't run from me, Artie. I am you, and I know everything. I know what you have to do. He opened his eyes, his heart pounding. He looked at Mikey, his innocent face, the trust in his eyes. He had to protect him, no matter what. And then he knew. He knew what he had to do. He turned and started walking, heading back towards the pier. "That's right, Artie," the voice whispered. "You're finally listening. You're finally listening. Becoming who you were always meant to be." He walked faster, his pace quickening. He could feel the voice growing stronger, more insistent, taking over. He reached the pier, the flashing lights reflecting in the dark water. He looked down at Mikey, his son. "I'm sorry, Mikey," he whispered, "but I have to do this." And then he threw him into the water. He walked faster, his pace quickening. He could feel the voice growing stronger, more insistent, taking over. He reached the pier, the flashing lights reflecting in the dark water. He looked down at Mikey, his son. "I'm sorry, Mikey," he whispered, "but I have to do this." And then he threw him into the water. The splash echoed, a sickening thud against the night. Arthur stood frozen, the voice in his head screaming with triumph. He'd done it. He'd gotten rid of the key. But then, silence. A silence so profound it was deafening. He looked at the water, expecting to see Mikey struggling, gasping for air. Nothing. Just the cold, dark water reflecting the distorted lights of the city. Panic seized him. He'd gone too far. He'd listened to the voice, the twisted, evil voice that had taken over his mind. And now Mikey was gone. He ripped off his jacket, his hands shaking, and plunged into the water. It was freezing, biting at his skin, numbing his limbs. He dove down, frantically searching, his fingers clawing through the murky depths. Nothing. He came up for air, gasping, his lungs burning. He dove again, and again, and again, but Mikey was nowhere to be found. He surfaced, exhausted, defeated, the cold seeping into his bones. He'd killed him. He'd killed his own son. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with the salt water. He'd lost everything. Sarah, Helen, and now Mikey. All because of the voice. All because of him. He was a monster. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his arm, pulling him under. He struggled, kicking and flailing, but the grip was too strong. He was dragged down, down, down into the darkness. He saw a figure looming above him, a dark silhouette against the faint light filtering from the surface. He tried to scream, but his mouth filled with water. The figure came closer, and he saw Tony. Tony, his face contorted with rage, his eyes burning with hatred. "You thought you could get away with this, Artie?" he snarled, his voice muffled by the water. "You thought you could betray me and get away with it?" Arthur tried to speak, to plead for his life, but Tony's grip tightened, choking off his air. "You're going to pay for what you did, Artie. You're going to pay for everything." And then he saw it. In Tony's other hand, a small, tarnished silver locket. Mikey's locket. But it wasn't Mikey's locket. It was Sarah's. And inside was a picture. A picture of Sarah and Tony together. And then it hit him like a punch to the gut. A realization so shocking, so devastating, it stole his breath away. Tony. Tony wasn't just Sarah's old friend. He was her lover. He was Mikey's father. And Sarah hadn't disappeared. She'd faked her death. And he, Arthur Finch, he'd been a pawn in their game all along. He looked at Tony, his eyes filled with a mixture of horror and understanding. "Why?" he managed to choke out. Tony laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. "Why? Because you were always in the way, Artie. You were always holding Sarah back. She deserved better. She deserved me." He squeezed harder, the pressure on Arthur's throat unbearable. "And now you're going to join her at the bottom of the ocean." Everything went black. Then a voice. Not the voice in his head. A real voice. A woman's voice. "Let him go, Tony!" He heard a struggle, a splash. Then nothing. He gasped, his lungs burning, and opened his eyes. He was lying on the pier, coughing up water. Standing over him, gun in hand, was Helen. But it wasn't Helen. It was Sarah, again. "It's okay, Artie," she said, her voice soft, soothing. "I've got you. You." He stared at her, his mind reeling. Too many faces, too many lies. He didn't know what was real anymore. Then he looked past her, and he saw Mikey, standing a few feet away, watching them with wide, unblinking eyes. And he understood. Finally, he understood everything. The voice in his head, the other Arthur, the lies, the deception. It had all been Sarah. Sarah manipulating him, controlling him, driving him insane. Sarah using him to get rid of Tony. Sarah, the mastermind behind it all. And Mikey wasn't his son. He was Sarah and Tony's son. And he was the key to everything. Sarah smiled, a chilling, triumphant smile. "Now, Artie," she said, her voice dripping with malice, "it's time to finish what we started." "Now, Artie," she said, her voice dripping with malice, "it's time to finish what we started." My head was spinning. Sarah, alive, a killer, Mikey's mom, but how? It didn't make any sense. And that look in her eyes, pure ice. "Sarah, I don't understand," I stammered. She laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "You never did, Artie. You were always so blind, so trusting." She gestured with the gun. "But that's why you were perfect for this. The perfect patsy." Mikey was staring at us, his face pale. I had to do something, had to protect him. "But what? What are you talking about?" I demanded, trying to buy time. "Oh, come on, Artie. Don't play dumb. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Atlantic City, the money, Tony. Atlantic City, that night. It was all coming back to me like a nightmare. A big score, a double cross. Sarah involved? You and Tony, you were in on it together?" She smiled, a slow, cruel smile. "From the very beginning, Artie, we needed you. You were the inside man, the one everyone trusted." I felt sick, used, betrayed. "But why fake your death? Why put Mikey through all that?" Her face hardened. "Tony got greedy. He wanted all the money. He was going to cut me out. I had to protect myself and Mikey. So I staged the accident. It was perfect. Everyone believed I was dead, and I disappeared. She looked at Mikey, her eyes softening for a moment. I never wanted to hurt him, but it was necessary, for his safety. His safety? You're insane! She ignored me, her focus back on Mikey. He's going to have a great life, Artie. A life of luxury. He's going to have everything he ever wanted. I knew what she was planning. She was going to take Mikey and run, and I couldn't let that happen. He's not going anywhere with you, Sarah, I said, my voice hardening. She laughed again. Oh, really, Artie? And what are you going to do to stop me? She raised the gun, pointing it at me. I'm sorry it has to end this way, Artie. I really am. But you know too much. You're a loose end. My heart was pounding. This was it. This was how it was going to end. But then, a shot rang out. But it didn't come from Sarah's gun. Sarah gasped, her eyes widening in shock. She looked down at her chest. A small, red stain was spreading across her shirt. She stumbled backward, the gun falling from her hand. I stared, frozen, trying to understand what was happening. Then, I saw him, standing in the shadows. A figure cloaked in darkness, holding a gun. It was Mikey. My world tilted. Mikey? A kid? Holding a gun? He walked slowly toward us, his face blank, emotionless. He looked older, somehow, different. He stopped in front of Sarah, who was gasping for breath, her eyes pleading. "Why, Mikey?" she whispered. "Why?" He didn't answer. He just stared at her, his eyes cold and empty. Then he raised the gun again and fired. Sarah slumped to the ground, lifeless. Mikey turned to me, the gun still in his hand. "It's done, Mr. Finch," he said, his voice flat, mechanical. I stared at him, speechless, terrified. Who are you?" I managed to stammer. He smiled, a chilling, inhuman smile. "I am the reset," he said, "and you, Arthur, are a liability." "I am the reset," he said, "and you, Arthur, are a liability." Liability. The word hung in the air. He was right. He knew too much. He'd seen too much. He'd almost loved. Mikey raised the gun, his face still blank. The kid I taught to fish, now this. My life flashed before my eyes. Sarah, Atlantic City, the lies, the betrayals, all leading to this moment. I closed my eyes, waiting. Click. Nothing. Mikey lowered the gun, his face finally showing a flicker of something. Confusion? Regret? I couldn't tell. Then he dropped the gun. It clattered on the wooden planks of the pier. He looked at me, his eyes wide, scared. He looked like Mikey again. Just a kid. I don't know what happened," he stammered, his voice trembling. It wasn't me." He took a step back, away from me, away from the bodies, away from the nightmare. "I gotta go," he whispered, and then he turned and ran. He vanished into the darkness, leaving me alone with the dead and the dying. The sirens were getting closer. I knew the cops would be here soon. I knew I couldn't stay. But where could I go? What could I do? My life was shattered, my world destroyed. I looked down at Sarah's body, lying lifeless on the pier. I felt nothing, just emptiness. Then I looked out at the water, the cold, dark, unforgiving water. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe I should just end it all. But then I remembered Mikey. He was out there, alone, scared and confused. He needed me. Even if he wasn't my son, even if everything was a lie, he needed me. I took a deep breath and started walking, away from the pier, away from the dead, away from the past. I had to find Mikey. I had to protect him. I had to try to make things right. But the voice was still there inside my head, waiting, watching. "You can't run from me, Artie," it whispered. "I and you. And I know you can't run from what you are." I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I would do. All I knew was that I had to keep moving, one step at a time. But as I walked away, I noticed something on the pier. A small, tarnished silver locket. Sarah's locket. And it was open. I picked it up, my heart pounding. Inside, there was no picture, just a blank space. Except there was something written on the back of the locket, scratched into the metal, barely visible. One word. Now. Now what? Hey, you made it to the end, but the story's far from over. You need to subscribe now. Click that red button and join the community of truth seekers. This is the moment to smash that like button. Show the algorithm you're with us, and let's spread this story far and wide. And don't even think about leaving without inundating the comments section. What do you think happens next? Who is the voice? And share this video instantaneously with at least 5 friends who need to witness this mind-blowing ending. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions. Don't wait, nem mais segundo. This is just the beginning.